So, hey, my name's Zach. I'm the Group PM here at HubSpot working on Raise Intelligence. Appreciate everyone joining in. I'm going to try to keep today as tactical and useful for you all. Sounds like as power users, and just in terms of how you can use Raise Intelligence to actually help your business grow. We'll do kind of a brief overview of what Raise Intelligence is and then go into some of the different features. And I'm going to try to really keep this focus around how it can help you drive more leads, grow your pipeline, and just help you operate HubSpot faster and your teams faster with data. So put simply, I kind of think of Breeze Intelligence. It makes sad CRMs into happy CRMs. And the way we do that, we have three kind of key core features or use cases, but we have form shortening where you can make your forms on your site convert at a higher rate. Buyer intent, where you can see the companies that are visiting your site, and even if they've never filled out a form, so it's able to convert some of that hidden pipeline into real pipeline. And then data enrichment, which I'm guessing many folks on this call are probably familiar with, but make sure that all your companies, all your contacts in your CRM already have data applied to your records. So what do we mean by a sad CRM? A sad CRM is one where you don't have enough leads. It's one where you're kind of, for example, your inbound leads are starting to dry up, or they're no longer converting on your site at a high enough rate, and you're starting to get probably angry messages from your boss or something of that nature. It's one where you don't have enough pipeline, where you're struggling to figure out which company to target next. And it's one where you're missing data, which just kind of causes your entire team to move slow and all your processes inside your CRM start to break, and it's not fun. So luckily, Breeze Intelligence is here to help and convert that sad CRM into a happy CRM. Hopefully you all appreciate my emoji choices. I put a lot of thought into this. So yeah, happy CRM, one where you have a ton of leads, you have more pipeline, and you have all that data that you need to actually keep your business running and your team moving fast. So we're going to get into some of the specific features here and how Breeze Intelligence can help with all three. So use cases. So first off, I would say if you're struggling with inbound leads, the first thing that I would check out is form shortening. And so form shortening, if you're not familiar with it, is an awesome tool that allows websites to shorten their forms. Great branding. But basically, shorter forms convert at a higher rate than longer forms. I think we've all seen those extremely long forms to just sign up and you have to fill out 8 fields. That's not a very pleasant experience. So how this works is you basically enter your email address, and if we already have data for that email, we won't ask for any more. So all the website visitor has to do is enter their email and click submit. If we don't have data for that email, then we'll progressively ask them for more fields that we don't have. So for instance, if we don't know the person's job title, but we know their company and employee count, then we'll only ask for their job title. It's a really nice feature and one that we've seen a lot of success with to kind of increase the inbound leads there. So to just show my very beautiful example here, I'm going to just enter my email here, and you'll see how it doesn't ask me for anything else. I just enter my email and I can click submit. But let's just say I make up one where I put in 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's like, I actually don't know who that is. So it's going to prompt me to fill in my first and last name. But if you see here, we have a company that it doesn't recognize. Well, it figures out it's invalid, but it'll actually then prompt you for the country as well. So it's able to basically figure out, is this all that we have data for? And if so, just ask for the bare minimum amount of forms that the person needs to fill out, again, so that you can drive more inbound leads from your website. Cool. And another use case here, another common complaint that we see is, how do I get more pipeline? And for this, we have a feature that we call buyer intent that we've seen a lot of success with for customers. And so buyer intent is awesome. What it allows you to do is it tells you which companies are actually visiting your website, even if they've never filled out a form or signed up in any way. So all they have to be doing is browsing your page. And so what you can do here is you can determine the companies that are actually showing intent to buy and do things like, and you can filter for things like how often are they browsing your site, or if they viewed certain blog posts, a pricing page, things like that. And what we've seen with this product is many times marketers are doing a lot better than they think in terms of actually driving interest and engagement from their target audience. The problem is that companies, they're just not always ready to sign up as soon as they visit the site. And so there's sort of this hidden pipeline that we're able to help people convert into new pipeline here and using this feature. And so to show you a bit how this works, then we'll jump into a demo. First, we help you define what your target market is. So you can pick all sorts of different filters. You can make sure that the companies that we're identifying actually are matching the fit that you're looking for. So maybe it's accounting firms with fewer than 100 employees, or maybe it's companies with at least 10 million in revenue, or they're in certain industries or use certain technologies. We help you hone in on whatever it is that your specific target market is, so that we can go and alert you whenever we actually find them on the website. We also let you define what we call like an intent criteria. So for instance, maybe you want to know every company who visits your site, but a lot of people really just want to focus their efforts around people or companies who have visited certain pages, perhaps like the pricing page or a talk to sales button. Maybe they visited at least 3 times, so that we can tell that they're not just visiting and browsing, but they're actually increasing buying. You can do, target specific page. So maybe you want to exclude people who visit like a careers page, for instance. It's not really relevant. Many people have struggled to like figure out like, well, what are my good pages? Luckily for you, we have a recommendation section where we use what I like to call very fancy math to figure out which pages on your website are actually converting the best. And then all of that's awesome, but the real neat feature, the power here that converts this from a hidden pipeline into new pipeline, is we let you automatically add that and create those companies inside your CRM. So now not only are we kind of helping you find those companies that are high fit, high intent, but if we see that they're not in your CRM already, we automatically add them. And then it can plug straight into your workflows, into your lists. It plugs in basically into all of your existing processes. And so this is how you're really able to convert that hidden pipeline, if you will, into brand new companies and brand new leads that you can send off to your sales team. And we'll show this here in a second with the demo, but we make it really easy to keep your boss or whoever might be informed. You can track your total addressable market and see how many of them you've actually driven to the website already to show intent, and then also what percentage you've actually captured. And then you can also set up things like email digest to kind of keep people in the loop and alert the team as soon as you're seeing that hidden pipeline show up on the page so they can take action. My screenshots probably don't do this justice, but hopefully this helps a little bit more. You can see here, we've set up just a handful of target accounts and different criteria for intent. And what we can do now is we can actually see all the companies who have been visiting our site, how often they visited, how many unique visitors. If I want, I can quickly add them, view their LinkedIn, all sorts of things. So I can easily browse and view them. You can see this broken out by everything you can imagine. It's pretty much embedded natively here in HubSpot. So you can say companies that are not in my CRM already, or if you do want to see who's engaging within my CRM, you can do that as well. And then, like I mentioned, all of this connects straight into lists, into workflows, and everything of that nature. So it's really easy to use. And then in terms of reporting, you get this nice intent funnel here right at the top. And then you can also see different hot accounts and things of that nature. Maybe I'll pause there if anyone wants to do any quick questions on these sections before I go too quickly through. I'm not looking at the chat, but if there's any in there.
We are getting a lot of questions. I'm mostly pushing them to the Q&A. I think you're doing fine. So if you want to just continue on, we'll just dump all of them on you at the end.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. So next up, we're going to talk enrichment, my personal favorite, kind of the bread and butter product of Breeze Intelligence. I think many people here have probably used enrichment providers in the past, but at the end of the day, better data, makes for faster teams, makes for faster teams, faster operations, and we're here to help kind of close that gap. So for those not familiar, though, enrichment is basically the process of filling in blank records automatically. So you don't have a sad CRM that looks like this, where you have just a whole list of companies or contacts, but all the properties and fields are empty. And you don't know how many employees work at the companies. You don't know what industry they're in. You don't know your contacts' job titles, etc. It looks a little depressing seeing all the blank data, and even worse, as many people on this call probably know, all the blank data breaks things like workflows, automations, etc. So luckily, we have data enrichment, where all of those data points get automatically populated and filled in. So instead of that sad, empty CRM, you get a nice, full and happy CRM here with all the data that you need to run your business. So to go a little bit deeper, Breeze Intelligence provides 40 attributes across companies and contacts. It's natively embedded inside HubSpot. So as soon as a record gets created, you get all of the data immediately applied. And then once it's there, you can use it all across HubSpot the same way you would any other property. You can use it to power or to build lists, power workflows, personalize your emails, any way that you currently use data inside HubSpot. So a few of my personal favorite use cases is probably the most basic, but at the end of the day, very powerful, is using it to personalize your emails. So just showing a basic example here, but being able to put someone's first name in an email to make it tailored to them is a small but impactful task. So you can tailor all of your emails now with this data, any of the data attributes we provide, so that you can personalize the outreach and improve your email marketing there. So for instance, one that we see is people will not only personalize with the first name, but they like to personalize with the company as well. And there's a whole bunch of different ways to use this to do some creative things. Another new feature that we just launched is we also detect email bounces. So this is likely similar to other email deliverability tools you might have used in the past, like a Never Bounce or others, to kind of clean lists. But we're able to combine different sources across HubSpot and a handful of third parties to tell you if we've seen an email actually bounce before. So this way you're able to filter out these contacts and not waste time on them, for one, but you can also remove them from your email campaigns and help protect your deliverability scores and start to avoid those bounces preemptively. As I mentioned, enrichment, it's also fully available in lists and workflows and everywhere else. So you can use the data to power your lead or account routing, or do any other personalization efforts. So perhaps you want to route all the new companies or contacts that are on the East Coast to one sales rep or the West Coast to another. And we make that really easy so that you have all the data you need to kind of power those workflows and make it happen. One of my other favorites is just how you can use the data to build out reports. I think is really cool. So a really common use case we see is customers working to create ICP reports, where they'll use the data to break their business down by employee counts or job titles where they're having the most success, and they can compare their closed lost deals versus their closed ones and start to see where what their more fine-tuned ICP really looks like. And so we're able to kind of give you that data right at your fingertips so that you have the ability to create much prettier, nicer looking granular dashboards to go a little bit deeper on that. Last thing I'll show on this is a common complaint that we saw from customers with other data providers is that it feels like you're kind of buying a mystery box. You don't really know what you're going to get before you actually buy. And we really wanted to change that so that we can make it super easy to get a full understanding of what our data coverage is and also our data accuracy is before you purchase. So you can easily do a data test directly in our UI. Just select a list or a group of companies or contacts, and we'll immediately show you what data coverage looks like, both overall and across specific attributes. So in addition, we also have a free intelligence tab on the records, so that all you have to do is click on a record and you can see a free preview of all the data that we'd be providing to help you hopefully gain a lot of confidence in the accuracy of the data. It's something that we take a lot of pride in. So we really want this to be the easiest product on the market to buy, and hopefully this gets us closer to that. So hopefully helpful, all cool, and hopefully you're itching right now to get started on this. In terms of pricing, we work on a credit-based system. So credit is consumed each time you enrich a contact or a company, and it's also consumed whenever you create a new company using buyer intent. So hopefully this is simple. The more credits you need, the cheaper they become. Most people start either at the 100 credit mark or the 1,000, and then they work their way up depending on their inbound leads. Teams that are more heavily using buyer intent to activate that hidden pipeline layer, they're typically using something more like 1,000 credits because they're creating a lot more companies as they go. But hopefully we're flexible enough to meet everyone's needs, irregardless of their size. And with that, Kyle, that's all the slides I had. I'm happy to jump into Q&A if that works.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. So that's a great overview. Everybody head over to the Q&A. We've already got 55 questions in there. So if you want to upvote the ones you're most interested in hearing, I think that'd be really valuable. And I mean, Zach is here. He's got his tabs open. We can live demo stuff if there's anything you have questions about or want to see in more depth. I'm seeing a lot of hand raising, a lot of requests for presenter mode. Please click Q&A to ask your questions. I know it's a little confusing, all the different options here in Bevy. Raising your hand is not, that's what you do when you have a question in real life, but in Bevy, you click the Q&A button. So put your questions in there, upvote the ones you're interested in. We will work most popular to least popular. While that is sorting itself out, Zach, sort of a hot button question, I'm sure is on some people's minds. I saw it in the chat. I don't know if this is a better question for you or maybe Lisa, if you want to weigh in. Yesterday was the official sunset of the old HubSpot company insights feature, the free feature that populated some company properties at company creation. A lot of people are sad to see that go, and are I think even a little resentful that a free feature was sunset about the same time this paid feature was introduced. Can one of you talk to the differences and the strategy and the thinking there just to clarify why HubSpot has made these decisions?
Yeah. Yeah, there's maybe a decent amount to unpack there. I guess what I can start with is what we wanted to avoid and what we kept free is maybe a good framing.
Yeah.
It's every time you create a company, you'll still get the name and logo applied for free. So you'll still have the company name populate here and the logo as well. And in addition, we also still keep a company record as well. So the intelligence tab here remain free, and you can see basically like the description, the industry, and things of that nature. So we still wanted to keep the data at your fingertips, if you will. It's just it consumes an enrichment credit if you want to actually write it to the record or to the property. So we did try to find that balance of free versus paid and keep at least a decent amount here free so that we can still unlock the main use cases, but still have the ability to upgrade here into Breeze Intelligence to unlock some more powerful things. As part of that, now that when you do consume a credit to do the enrichment, we do add in quite a few more properties. And I think what you'll see from us, not to reveal too much, but what I think you'll see from us in the very future is expanding on this foundation quite a bit to offer, in addition, more properties that you would get versus what you were getting for free, and also the ability to get properties that are very personalized to you, the ability to get data that's very tailored for your business. And I think overall, it's a switch for us of being able to supply a very basic version and instead be able to provide a much more powerful version of data enrichment longer term inside of HubSpot. Does that?
Got it. I hope that helps. It is, yeah, Jeremy is right. It is a hot button issue, and there are unhappy people in the chat, and I am willing to own that. I'm not going to tell you shouldn't be unhappy, folks. I will say though, in my what's it been, almost 10 years at HubSpot. I over the years heard lots and lots of people complain about the quality of company insights. Sounds like it was working really well for a lot of you, and I don't mean to minimize that. But the data we were putting in there was not always very good. It was not carefully maintained, and the coverage was not super great across industries and locations. And I think, I don't know, I was not an insider in the conversations around how we decided to do this, but I think we couldn't find a cost-effective way to keep providing that information for free and have it be good. So it will be a hard transition. I will say that. But I don't want you to think of Breeze Intelligence as a replacement for company insights. It's a much broader thing. What Zach was showing you with form shortening and with buyer intent, these are entirely new features in HubSpot. It's pretty sweeping in what it's able to do. So I think that would be my personal recommendation here. I hope it is a little bit helpful. But you are by all means allowed to feel your feelings, and I'm never going to tell you don't feel those feelings. They are wrong. But for the Q&A, let's focus on Breeze Intelligence, what it is, what it does, how it works. Oh, well, the top question was about this, so we addressed that. That's great. So Josefina has questions about how the pricing works. Do credits roll over to the next month if I don't use them all?
No, they currently do not. It uses the credits within the month, and then each month you would get back to 100 or back to 1,000, etc.
And then Bill asks, enriched email bounce, how is that different than global bounce? Can we see the bounce reason? Are we talking about getting email status like never bounce as an example?
Yeah, so I would say it's in addition. So email bounce, we basically take very similar to the data that you're getting for the first attribute you referenced, except it's expanding it to not just be limited to your portal. We're also plugging into other third-party vendors and other sources inside HubSpot to populate that more holistically. So as of today, it is just the bounce detected attribute is like a yes or no, but adding in more details or reasons is something that we're looking at as well.
Got it. So the global bounce feature is just if I send an email from my HubSpot account and this particular email address bounced, now it is flagged as a bounce in my account. But what this is even if I haven't emailed this person, if HubSpot using its various data sources knows that this email address is invalid, it will flag it in that property.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it's a bit more proactive version.
How can I create ICP reports with Breeze Intelligence?
Yeah, definitely. You can use all of the various data to basically build any analyzed data in any way you want. It's on my personal wish list to have a nice out-of-the-box ICP report that we could provide as a template. But what I would say is basically, yeah, we unlock that ability, and then you can, same way as you can build any report or dashboard, you can kind of compare your close won or your good fit or best contacts you've had success with versus maybe even your close lost, and start to kind of measure that difference. So yeah, definitely a great use case.
This question from Jill, Lisa very kindly typed an answer to, but I think it's worth talking and maybe even demoing some things. Can we segment which contact records get enriched? It will get costly. I think, how do you keep this from running off the rails? Every record, every property being enriched all the time. Do you have some tips and tricks for doing that?
Yeah, great question. So first thing would be you can enrich specific lists. Like if you have like very specific lists or anything of that nature that you want to target, you can just enrich those. So here I just kind of picked a few, and I can click my enrich records button here. You can also do that at the list level. That's a common use case. And you can also do it inside of workflows. So for instance, maybe as you have new leads come in, you can set up a workflow so that it only enriches the contacts that match that criteria. So we have a variety of settings as well to kind of try to make that as easy as possible in terms of controlling the data that you actually want enriched, different settings, whether you want to enrich from imported records or only do manual enrichment, things of that nature. We try to make it as flexible as possible, and something that we're hoping to improve more in the future as well.
I love that. And over on the buyer intent side, we've been introducing things like auto ad companies and stuff, but you can set actual like numeric limits. You can say no more than 10 of these a month or whatever, just to make sure you're keeping that at a level that works for you. With form shortening, can you still require key qualifying questions even if... Okay, let me try that again. With form shortening, can you still require a key qualifying question, even if it already has data filled? Samantha, you typed this question perfectly. I don't know why I can't read. It's fine. So if they have a question they want to require, if data can, what's the intersection between required properties and autofilling and hiding?
Yeah. Basically, you could set it up to I don't know if I have my forms here as handy, but you can set it up to only you can still have required fields even if they're not hidden. So in my example, I did just the most extreme version, if you will, but you could still set something to be required and show no matter what. So you're able to also selectively choose like, hey, I want first name to not populate or be auto-filled, if you will. There's customization within the form setup to accommodate that.
That's great. I did not know that. I learned something. That's great. Does data enrichment also include acquisition for net new contact records as well, or would you still need a tool like ZoomInfo for that?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so we don't currently allow you to purchase lists of emails in the way that you might be doing in ZoomInfo. Um, a lot of good reasons for that, mainly around HubSpot's commitment to privacy and GDPR and things of that nature. Basically, purchasing lists and selling contact info in that way is something that we're not currently pursuing. But we can enrich contacts that you have or you import into the system.
Love that. Just as a quick tangent, I did see some questions scroll by in the chat, just like people having questions about competitive things, like how does this compare to ZoomInfo or Apollo or some of the other options? I don't know. I don't know that you want to spend a lot of time talking about that here, but if you have quick thoughts or if there are resources you can point people to, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, definitely. I would say if your main use case is you're looking to purchase lists of emails, that's one that you're going to have better luck with when in a ZoomInfo or other, just because that's not a feature that or a functionality we currently offer. But if you're looking mainly for enrichment use cases, then what I would say is we want to be the best, and we hope that we make it easy as possible to compare ourselves versus any other vendor. So like I mentioned, it's really easy to do a data test here where you can check our enrichment coverage for any list or group that you might be interested in, and you can quickly see exactly what our coverage is and compare it to any other vendor. And then, I think that's true for companies and contacts. So, I can tell you, hey, we're better, or our numbers is this and theirs is that. But I think the reality is it's always very unique to your business. And so hopefully we make it as easy as possible to do your own quick analysis and make sure that you're comfortable. The other thing that I would say, enrichment. In terms of an intent, this is an area where I am confident to say that we have a nice advantage for our version of intent detection versus others, because we just have a much larger reach here inside HubSpot versus other companies. And so we're able to not only incorporate a lot of the signals that they're often purchasing from outside vendors, but we also are able to add in our own to really get a higher fidelity, stronger confidence in the companies that we're detecting, and also greater coverage in the data that we're providing. So I think for buyer intent, it's one that we're um, very, very competitive in, to say the least. And I think I feel very bullish that we're the best in the market.
That's great. And I love that coverage testing thing. I get lots of questions like, does this work? How's your coverage in Europe? Or how's your coverage in this particular niche industry? And what better answer could there be than test your actual specific records to see if there's coverage or not? I love that. Another question Lisa answered, but I think is worth discussing in front of the whole group. Amelia asked, is it 1 credit per company or 1 per field? And Lisa said 1 credit per record enrichment, no matter how many fields are enriched.
Yep.
And you're only charged the credit once in a billing term. So I don't
Yep.
know.
And even better, if you're on our 1,000, at least our 1,000 credit plan, we also offer what we call continuous enrichment, where you're going to get all the data updates for free automatically. So you're paying once and you're getting all the data updates forever. So that's going to stay updated and you're not going to get charged repeatedly.
I think that's incredible. So, you enrich a record once, and if that company moves its headquarters or gets a new phone number or whatever, that will update and that will not be charged as a credit to you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Nigel asks, with forms, is it looking at data already in the CRM, or does it also look at the enrichment data available to ascertain if we have the data?
Yeah, good question. Both. It's looking at the enrichment data as well. So if we as HubSpot have it, we won't make you ask your customer or your web sign up for it. So yeah, it's looking at both.
Really cool. Because then you can essentially get a 50 field form submitted, but the person feels like they're only answering like 3 questions. So that's lovely. Maddie asks, I've been able to personalize marketing emails with a first and last name for a while. Does Breeze Intelligence expand personalization possibilities, or is this now a feature that I can only get through Breeze Intelligence? So one thing I'll call out, personalization tokens and emails is still just standard email feature. Zach was using name and company name as a very simple example, but Zach, you can talk more about the sorts of data available, I think.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Personalizing emails is a core email functionality. We're just providing you more data in order for you to do it at a larger scale. So we're able to provide basically just more data for you to personalize with on those records. So making that existing feature more powerful and more useful.
Great. Caitlin, another one answered by Lisa. Can you explain how the credits work with buyer intent? Lisa said, for buyer intent, you can define your target market, define your intent, and view companies that are visiting your website without spending any credits. You spend credits when you add companies to your CRM because they are added to your CRM. Because as they are added to your CRM, they are getting enriched.
Correct. Exactly. Yep. We only charge you when you actually click the add button, and only for net new companies that you're creating.
Cool. How does Breeze enrich merged company records? Will the primary domain be the leader?
Yeah, interesting question. So we don't currently auto merge companies. All enrichment is based off of company domain as the unique key. Merging duplicates and merging similar companies, things of that nature, is something that HubSpot is looking to make much easier and cleaner for you as a product, but it's not unique to Breeze Intelligence as a feature right now.
Amelia asked, is the buyer intent view distorted by cookies?
Yeah. So I think what this is getting at is the way this works under the hood is we're able to track IP addresses that are coming to your website, and then what we do is we map those IP addresses to companies. So as we see an IP visit your site, we show you the company that it's related to. It's not an easy challenge. So for instance, if you see a coffee shop, you have 50 people all logging on from different companies, you don't want to say that they're all Starbucks, or insert your favorite coffee shop here. or like WeWork or something like that, for example. So what we do is we have a whole bunch of data science that goes into figuring out how do we best correlate an IP address to an individual company and have a lot of confidence that we're right in that prediction. So there are, edge cases where a user might be browsing and refuses to accept cookies or whatever it might be. And what we focus on is how do we filter out that noise so that we can get a really high, clear signal of which IP actually is related to which company. So it's not an easy problem, but it's one that we do think about and we account for, and we're always trying to optimize even more.
Cool. Joshua, who always asks very insightful questions, says this. It's a little long. How are you approaching corralling Breeze to a portal's context? E.g., if my company or industry has specific needs, regulatory process, terms, definitions, etc., how do we as admins keep Breeze on track? I've seen plenty of Breeze, HubSpot AI recommendations that were wrong, misleading, and if implemented, expose the company to legal risks. If I could provide more context, I could steer Breeze away from those problems.
Interesting. I'm just reading it back here.
Yeah, no, sorry, there's a lot to read at you. Lisa tagged this one as answered live. So Lisa, I don't know if you had insights you wanted to provide.
I think what I can say is this is something that maybe isn't going to get solved strictly within the context of Breeze Intelligence, but is definitely something that HubSpot is very focused on as a product team. I'm sure Andy will touch on some of this a little bit more in his Q&A, plug for that session. But I think at a high level, when we look at something like data enrichment, we are trying to figure out how do we unlock more of those custom requests or special requests that you might have where you're like, hey, I really care about companies that match this very custom definition, and I want you to focus on just that and go help me find them. That's something that we're looking at. So like to your point on like if my company has a specific need that you're going after, we're trying to make that much easier. And I think in terms of maybe some of your other points on Breeze or HubSpot AI in general, I think that's probably related to, it sounds like maybe you want to gate certain data from being accessible by HubSpot or give it better guidance there. That's one that I think you're going to see more features around in the future, but I don't have handy today. I don't know if that fully merged with Lisa's, but hopefully that's helpful.
No, I appreciate the transparency. I think that was a solid answer. Joshua, let us know if you have follow-up questions. I know you often do, and I love that about you. Isaac says, does buyer intent sync with target accounts?
Yes, and more coming soon. We're working on some cool things there. Isaac, if you want, maybe we can follow up after. I'd love to show you some cool things that we're looking to release in the future.
Nice. Taking a quick side note there, if people want to follow up with you after this session, what's the best way? LinkedIn, person, email? What do you prefer?
Yeah, email or LinkedIn, both would be good. Probably email is best. I can drop in maybe into the chat.
Okay.
Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, please reach out. Let me know any feedback on this or any other follow-up questions, concerns. If I can help you, hopefully I can at least direct you to someone who is better than me. Yeah, love to hear from everyone.
Love that. Riley asks, how does this work with business units, particularly those that might have different websites? Is the path parameter basically agnostic of the domain?
Got it. I think to repeat that back, I think what you'd be describing there is basically within the buyer intent setup. One, in that example, you would probably be able to, or you would be able to set up different target markets. So let's say you're going after, one part of your business is targeting large companies and another small companies. You could create those as two separate target markets or groups. And then in terms of visitor, intent criteria, you could say, hey, I want to find all the companies that visited maybe a specific product landing page, like let's say accounting for small businesses. And you would be able to say, okay, these are all the companies that are looking at that feature. And then, another landing page for large companies, just as an example, and show all the companies. Our goal there is to make it really easy for you to define different criteria, like different pages that they might be visiting that show the different business units, and then also targeting those different business units at like different markets. Happy to take any follow-ups there if that didn't answer the question fully.
Great. Have another question about bounce detection. This was probably covered when we talked about earlier. Isabel asks, how does bounce detection work inside HubSpot? Can you give a short demo? So the Breeze Intelligence version of bounce detection, it's populating a specific property, right? Setting that to true or yes or whatever.
Exactly, yeah. On the contact record, we have an email property here called enriched email bounce detected. And if that's true, we'll set it to true. And that just means that across our partners or inside HubSpot, we detected that email has bounced in the past. So basically it's a higher risk. Like you can still try, but we've at least detected a bounce that we want to make you aware of. Notably, we do not say that an email is like good. We just tell you if an email hasn't bounced.
So this property will either be null or yes.
Correct. Yep.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. Joshua asks, how will Breeze interact with OpenAI workflow actions? So we just announced, I don't know if everyone has heard, we have in private beta now an integration with OpenAI that includes workflow actions. You can like access your custom GPTs and stuff in a workflow. How do you see that and Breeze coinciding?
Yeah, great question. I think where I think it's probably going to go is you're going to see ways to do. We'll probably start to combine them to make it really easy so that, for a lot of these use cases, you're not going to get the best answers just by pinging OpenAI. So for instance, like OpenAI is unlikely to tell me Kyle Jepson's job title, just because that's something that they don't do. So what we want to do is figure out where can we fill in the gaps so that you could ping Ask Breeze, and that in the background we can intelligently say, okay, I need to go into the contact data and answer that question, or I need to research that in another location and return back an answer, or is it like a simple, ChatGPT or OpenAI request, like capitalize this first name, and just make that really easy for the user. So I think what you'll probably see is us trying to make that as easy as possible by building that functionality in one easy to use place, like an Ask Breeze. But there'll probably be some customization under the hood so that you could say like, no, I really want it to only go to one place or another. At a high level, I think that's probably where they'll start to combine. Is we want to make getting you the data you need as easy as possible, and that's our mission. And I think that's the best way to do that.
Love that. If one contact is associated with more than one company, will it confuse data enrichment tools?
Good question. All of the contact enrichment is powered off of the email address as the unique key. So we charge you 1 credit for each unique email. So if, for instance, you happen to have like the same email duplicated for whatever reason as a contact, we would just enrich all of them, but only charge 1 credit.
Got it. So here's a question I actually referenced earlier. Is Breeze working in Europe too? HubSpot Insights were not so accurate with European companies. So that's another great place to check coverage. But do you want to talk just in general about the global aspects of Breeze Intelligence?
Yeah, yeah. It is working in Europe, and yeah, as Kyle mentioned, this is an area that we've really leaned into here as we go towards a more premium product. Like the legacy company insights, that it wasn't something that was updated or expanding coverage, especially internationally. With Breeze Intelligence here, we're really focused on getting that coverage extremely high, especially for companies. We have some charts that we can share around our coverage internationally of just how many different companies we have data for across the EU and different countries. And it's something that we're very proud of. Broadly speaking, for any given domain inside of HubSpot, we have coverage for 80% of them. And the ones that we don't have coverage for are usually like junk domains that we just haven't prioritized, like, things like GoDaddy landing pages or like blank websites. So what I would say is, especially for company data, we feel very strongly that we can have great coverage there, and we really want to have great coverage internationally. If you have a list of domains that you're not seeing data for, please reach out and I'll make sure that it gets added.
Great. For buyer intent, must they be visiting from a company URL as opposed to ISP? We don't know anything about who the person is. Can we tell if multiple people visit from the same company?
Yeah, you can. So inside of your buyer intent dashboard here, for those companies, you'll see not only their total page views, but also their unique visitors, which is really cool.
That is cool. Here's an interesting one from Matthew. The buyer intent companies are usually already in our CRM. We just have a different naming convention. How can I associate what Breeze thinks is the name versus what our CRM has? So I guess if a company is identified one way in buyer intent, but a different way in the CRM, is there a way to link the two together? I guess maybe for companies that have multiple brands or something.
It's a good question. I don't think so. On this company record inside your CRM, you would still be able to see, like, the unique link for us is still the domain name. So inside of that company record, even if it has a different name that you've manually adjusted, you should still be able to see the buyer intent data, if you will, around page views and all of that stuff. So yeah, I believe it should still work naturally. It just won't work as nicely within this UI. I think this UI would just be showing our default data, our default company name. But if you click on your actual company record, it should work. But let me know if that's not true.
Okay. I would be interested to know the timing between intent being shown and then it appearing in my lists and system. So if you have automatic ad and stuff set up, how quickly does this happen?
Yeah, it should be instantaneous, or instantaneous in the sense of seconds to minutes, not days or weeks, anything like that. Yeah, it should be essentially, close to real time. That's a dangerous word to use, but
Sure.
very short period of time.
Great. I know we're getting close to time. This might be a good question to end on. We might squeeze in one more after, but it feels like a good ending question. Ruben asks, what's the best way to get started using Breeze Intelligence? Where would you recommend people begin?
Yeah, post-purchase or pre-purchase?
Either, both. I don't know.
Maybe we'll do pre-purchase. I think there's what you can do for buyer intent is you can actually set this up. You just put a pixel on your website and you're able to enable it here with this HubSpot tracking code, and you're immediately going to start to see a preview of the companies that we've tracked. And I think once you get that visual and you start to see it for real, it's a very exciting, ideas start to flow a little bit. And And I think that's like a very enticing way to kind of get your organization excited by the opportunity. And then similarly on the enrichment side, being able to just do a quick data test to say, hey, these are the companies or the contacts that we care about. Here's what we know we can achieve if we were to use Breeze Intelligence for those companies or contacts for enrichment. I think that's like another like good selling point, or hopefully is, that we can make easy for you to gain that trust. But I think in terms of, day one, for my money, I think the best thing to do is create a really tight target market that you're confident in, and some really tight visitor criteria or intent criteria. So, people visiting your pricing page, for instance, and then going in and setting up that auto ad feature so that you can automatically say, hey, anytime I find new companies that match my fit and they're visiting my pricing page and they're not in my CRM, get it set up so that I'm automatic workflow so I can target them. I think that's the day one action that is going to be the most value.
Love it. Well, we will cut it off there. Zach, I will tell you, we got through, I think, substantially less than half of the questions that were submitted. I will be exporting these out as a CSV and sharing them with you so you and your team can dig through, see what kinds of questions people have. Hopefully that'll be valuable to you. To all of you who joined us, the 300 of you still holding on here at the end of the hour, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you all showing up week after week. Zach, thanks so much for being here and presenting. Again, if you have follow-up questions, sounds like Zach is pretty open to talking more. But that is the end of today's show, and I hope to see you all back next week. Zach, any parting thoughts you want to share before we shut it down?
Yes, I'll drop my email in the chat. I apologize. I think I put in the Q&A, but please reach out anytime. ZSwetz@HubSpot.com or on LinkedIn, wherever's convenient. Would love to help. Love any feedback as well. We really want to be the best at this, so please let us know how.
Amazing. Yeah, I love, it's been such a joy to me watching this product grow up. Remember, folks, we just launched this at Inbound. It's been less than 6 months, and it's a lot has happened. It's very exciting to watch. So again, thanks everyone for being here. Zach, thanks for presenting, and I'll let you all get back to your Tuesday. Bye, everyone.
See you next week.
Cheers.